when you look in the mirror and you don't look like the photo that you've just seen on Instagram or that you've just posted on Instagram, that has a great impact on your mental health and how you feel about yourself, because you are comparing yourself to something that has either been photoshopped, perfectly posed, really good lighting, really good angles, to an image that is natural, that is you.
Hi there. This is Stephanos.
And Hélène,
And you're listening
to the Health Pod,
a thought-provoking, safe space
where we dare to ask the questions that no one else does. On physical,
mental,
psychological,
spiritual health.
Dr. Stephanos is a pioneer in effective neuroscience,
It's the biology of human emotions.
a psychophysiologist, and a free spirit with no filter.
Hélène is an entrepreneur and a women's health, fitness, and empowerment coach.
You can do it!
She's a spiritually wild woman and mother of two. Join us weekly on Health Pod to hear honest, vulnerable, authentic conversations
From inspiring entrepreneurs, artists, coaches, scientists, athletes,
These individuals will share their experiences and stories
as to what it takes to really understand and connect.
to your most authentic and happiest self. Hi guys, welcome to another amazing episode of Health Pod. We're here today with Hélène Fitness Coach, where we'll be discussing body positivity. We would like to thank Guaba for providing us this amazing space for our self-expression, for our voice to be heard, and change the way that society thinks and maybe that you think. Thank you for joining us on another amazing episode. Hélène.
So today's episode is sponsored by Hi, a health and wellness brand for women that has life-changing transformational fitness programs accessible all over the world. It helps women get lean, toned, feel strong, and empowered through customized workouts. So today's episode, as we've said, is about body positivity, self-love, working out to feel empowered, and working out to feel strong.
Woo! And on that note, we're gonna get our ginger shots over here at Guaba. Do try them. Boost your immune system, full of vitamin C, and of course, a spicy kick. So let's see this reaction.
Oh my God. Okay.
Let's do this.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh.
Was nice and refreshing. So we have some magazines with us over here today.
How did you just do that?
I don't know, it just
Okay.
maybe yours was fresher than mine, I don't know.
Seems like there's a lot of mumbling today.
Um,
Okay, so today
was the
we wanted
ginger.
to.
I think
my whole
think
sinuses are.
My tongue went numb there.
Okay, so talking about body positivity, there's a lot going on Instagram, on social media, around the world right now. There's a lot of focus on body positivity and self-love. And I wanted to start by talking a little bit about this body positive. Today's the day of mumbling and losing my words, it seems like. Body positivity movement. Okay, so
This is something that we haven't covered before.
No, it's
not. And I think it's super important to discuss about, because body positivity is something that I think needs to change in the minds of all of us, including myself, because I find myself a lot of the time struggling and fighting with the mirror. And in a way, trying to fit in this body perfect image that occasionally I understand, and many times I'm not willing to kind of not have a donut or be careful of my calories or always be in a caloric deficit, which drives me crazy.
Yeah, because it's unsustainable. It's not about always watching what you eat. It's about being healthy. And what's happened around the world and over so many years is that we've had magazines, which I want to cover, magazines that project a specific image of looking a specific way, but not giving you the opportunity to say, you know what, hey, in order for it to look like this, in order for you to look like this, that means that you really have to avoid a whole bunch of food. It's not, you don't just show up to a photo shoot. You know, before I have a photo shoot, I will go on to specific diets in order to look more ripped, to look more toned. And then a couple of days later, that isn't the sustainable pattern that you can have and look like every single day. It's not a lifestyle, it's not a way of being. So on that note, I was having a look through these magazines to get a few ideas. So you've got on the front cover here, a beautiful model, yes, but rather thin looking. Another one over here as well, if you can't see them, maybe I'll come a little bit closer, yeah? And within these magazines, and I've got about 6 of them here that I've literally just bought today. I don't usually buy these. And you see that they will tell you what to eat, what not to eat, what to avoid, yeah?
What about this one?
Yeah, exactly, the quick fix diets. And it's not as if we are all thinking there is a quick fix formula. And I see that with a lot of my clients. I see that their aim is to find this magic diet that works specifically for them in order to get to a specific result within 6 weeks. And then what happens at 6 weeks? 6 weeks, you manage, for some people, to get there. And 2 weeks later, you're back to where you started because you've not created a lifestyle around that. You've not created healthy habits in order to be able to make sure that you are able to sustain this kind of eating or this kind of workout regime.
Yes, you're absolutely right in saying that. And I think we need to change the concept that we think around dieting or around exercise. Because it's like you want a quick fix for mental health. There is not a quick fix for mental health. There is a life change that you need to follow on a daily basis, and that also includes exercise. Yeah. That's why also exercise has been termed the depression cure. Because not only through exercise, you have this release of endorphins that are called the happy hormones. If you combine coffee 60 minutes before you exercise, you also have that dopamine increase that is gonna help a lot of depressive patients, a lot of people that feel, worn down. You have the increase in noradrenaline that is gonna help you pursue your goals. So the way that we think about exercise, it shouldn't only be around, you look in front of the mirror and you're satisfied in terms of what you see in the mirror, or you're satisfied after a photo shoot. You exercise because you want to feel good.
Yeah,
you exercise because it makes you, let's say, every day feel more mentally stable.
Absolutely. And this is a lot of what the movement on body positivity and mental health has brought into our awareness more and more. So you see a lot of bigger girls on the front covers. Some of them, I have to say, we also need to have the discussion on the other end where if you have someone who's morbidly obese on the front cover and you're naming that body positivity, that is also a dangerous area to go into, because women that have issues with their health can't be labeled as healthy.
Of course,
and it can't be body positivity. There needs to be a line there that's, if people are comfortable in their own skin with the way that they look, fantastic. That's got to do with self-love, self-acceptance. And it's really key to fix and improve the way that you think about yourself, no matter what your size is, no matter what your body type is, in order to be able to, when you get to being thinner or when you get to being healthier, for you to have love for yourself. Because if you don't have that love when you're bigger, you're not going to find it when you change yourself, because you will still be finding something to pick on. You will still be looking for something to improve. You're never going to be happy. So it's really important to be aware that body positivity is all about, yes, self-acceptance, self-love, to know where healthy is, though, in those lines, and to also be able to bring that into your way of thinking about yourself and accepting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think that because of what we see on front cover magazines, what we see on social media, we constantly forget that our body is just basically a vessel in which the soul inhabits.
Yes.
And we're not just a body, we're also a soul. However, the body and the soul and the psyche, let's say, our emotions, they have a bi-directional union. If the body is sick and if you're being morbidly obese, even if you accept, let's say, yourself, which that I don't think it should be the case. In a way, okay, you accept yourself because you have the possibility of improvement. And that also brings happiness to people, improvement. Now, if the body gets sick, the soul will also get sick. It will be put in a difficult position. So the body and the soul go together. In a way, one accompanies the other in health, mental health and physical health. So there needs to be a balance, not extreme crash diets that you will have, let's say, this insulin. Insulin will not anymore be secreted. Thus, eventually, you won't have this serotonin being converted in your brain to what we call the happy hormone. So a lot of these restrictive diets, they cause a variety of mental health issues and imbalance. The detox diets, which are basically losing a lot of the fluids. So something that many people are not aware about is that if I put a lab rat into a container, and that lab rat, it has been genetically modified to exhibit a specific mental health issue. If I deprive that lab rat from water, then that lab rat will exhibit a variety of mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. So water intake and these detox diets I'm particularly against, because what they do is they remove fluids by over-exaggerating the function of the kidneys. And this is something that deprives also your brain from a lot of the water.
I definitely can see that, like on days that I've tried to do intermittent fasting, I know that doesn't work for me because, you know, I will literally starve myself from a specific time the day before all the way to the next morning. But I'm not cognitively in the same place that I would be. I'm much angrier. I feel dysregulated. I feel that I have anxiety when I deprive myself of food. And I have really bad mood swings that at the end of the day, we're trying to look a specific way, obviously, by doing any sort of fast or any sort of diet. And I'm talking about specifically intermittent fasting. But then when we don't have the results that we actually want in terms of our mental health, then that can't even sustain us with our eating habits throughout the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people, it does, but for others, it can have detrimental effects that you don't realize how they're affecting you and the people around you.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what, these cravings that many people get, now the cravings arise because of a need, a body's need, and especially what will you crave? You will crave, let's say, salty foods before your period because you want to retain more water, and you will also crave sugars, so that sugar is mainly the main form in which serotonin will be converted to, let's say, through insulin, will be converted from tryptophan to serotonin in your brain. So you are craving sweets because sweets are going to give you that emotional boost that you're looking for. It
But
may
it's
be
short-term.
It's short-lived, yes. So this is why it is essential when it comes to nutrition for, let's say, complex carbs to be combined with protein, so that there is this slow release of insulin, that you have this emotional stability, not these huge fluctuations.
Yeah.
And that is also going to help you when it comes to your body goals.
We're not talking about nutrition though here, and we're not talking about getting a specific goal either. This is not, like, I don't want to project that in terms of the podcast. I think quite the contrary. It's really important to highlight that so many women are not being included when we're talking about body image, right? We have so many different body types, and within those body types, you only see very specific, slim looking, on the covers here, you see it within the magazine, that we are projected this image of looking thin, tall, on Instagram, perfectly posed images of women with abs, and that includes myself. Of course, I'm going to take a photo of myself that makes me look good, but when you look in the mirror and you don't look like the photo that you've just seen on Instagram or you've just posted on Instagram, that has a great impact on your mental health and how you feel about yourself, because you are comparing yourself to something that has either been photoshopped, perfectly posed, really good lighting, really good angles, to an image that is natural, that is you, yeah? And so many women that have different body types, that have folds, I specifically wore these clothes today because I want to get into the comfort of being able to, if I sit like this, I'm going to have folds, that's fine. When I stand up, my abs show, great. If they don't, again, that's great. That's all a really big part of understanding who you are, what your body type is like, accepting yourself, loving yourself, appreciating what your body can do, and stop comparing. Stop comparing to what someone else has and what is projected onto us by magazines, by the beauty industry, by social media, everywhere. The image is to be thin, to be ripped, to be lean, to be young, to be invincible. And it's almost like we're always avoiding anything that has to do with aging, anything that has to do with coming closer to death, anything that has to do with even health.
Yeah. Now, what surprises me though? It's this is a very important topic. And yes, the beauty industry wants to portray that vitality of youth. And no matter what we do in our life, we do it for reasons of procreation. We do it for reasons to, let's say, being attractive and attract also the opposite sex. Now, there are certain occasions in the beauty industry that we see models that are below a healthy BMI index. And that has nothing to do with our role as human beings, our biological role as human beings. And let's say the fashion industry, I believe that now has become a little bit more inclusive, but this has still passed on to certain people's mentality and the way of thinking, is that they portray this very thin model of being healthy. And that's not healthy.
Yeah, the glowing.
Yes. That the model doesn't have fat to create estrogen, because progesterone and estrogen are being needed, and in order for them to be converted, they need cholesterol, they need fat. If you do not have fat on your body, eventually your menstrual cycle is going to stop. You will not be able to have kids. And this is something very dangerous that is being portrayed. From one point of view, we have self-love, and yes, you need to accept yourself even if you're obese, despite the fact that these might have issues in your cardiovascular health. And on the other hand, we have a very slim model that is basically crippling herself or himself to look a specific way. But that's not healthy.
And all these are actually trends. These are trends that are created by a much bigger marketing industry, a bigger, the fashion industry, the beauty industry, there are trends, different kinds of makeup that you do now that were not as popular back in the 90s, the different kinds of clothes that you wear in order to be more attractive for specific body types. As we've seen with Kim Kardashian, a really good example is when Kim Kardashian came out with, a bigger bum, bigger boobs, more voluptuous, everyone wanted bigger lips, bigger butt, bigger. All my clients are coming to me saying, you know what? I want to lose weight, but I want to keep the bum and I want to keep the boobs. And it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way because those are implants. For example, you cannot have a butt without having a hamstring, without having a...
without having worked out legs. It's
exactly.
It's nothing.
It's a huge issue. And in fact, for a person that sees that, it's not attractive because it's not harmonious. That's not a harmonious body. Now, the only way that someone could sustain something as such is just through hormones, injection of hormones, because if you train, you cannot have this type of body. You see, let's say 14-year-old girls, 16-year-old girls, that their body retains fat in a specific areas of the body.
Why is that?
That's because of estrogen. That's because of specific fat deposition of fertility. Now, as the body ages, and the only way that you can prolong this estrogen cycle is through exercise. So if you want to have a fit and healthy body until the age, let's say, of 40, 50, then you need to start
60,
exercising.
70.
70, you need to start exercising from a young age, but expect that you will not have the body of a 16-year-old girl. You'll be an adult woman with a very attractive body.
Yeah.
Because the body changes as we age.
It really does. And this is something I was just thinking about as you're talking about the body changing. I've seen my body change so much over the years. After having 2 kids, after every single pregnancy, throughout the pregnancy as well, you develop a lot of cellulite. That cellulite can stay with you. My hips are wider. My breasts the same. Like everything changes, the size of your torso area. And there's this pressure on women around that. Like you see so many, 8 weeks after pregnancy, I've bounced into my pre-pregnancy body. I'm now back in my jeans. And that doesn't happen for a lot of women. I think that 90% of women, there's a very, very small percentage of women that can actually do that. And even for me, that I train as much as I do, I never had those kind of results. And I had to accept that my body was different to how it was before when I was 20, that it has been through so many wonderful changes, and to embrace them and to accept them and to love myself and to understand that I can't always be the same. We are ever evolving. We are not the same person. We are not the same body. I'm not the same. I don't even think the same way anymore. So many things that I wouldn't do, or I would do if I was back to when I was younger, because I think differently now. I've had so many different more experiences. So in the same way, we can't have this idea of wanting to look a specific way, to look thinner, to look either bigger bums, bigger boobs, thinner, and to also maintain a healthy and, what's the word I'm looking for? A balanced way of even looking at yourself, of just appreciating and loving yourself and the changes that have happened. Yeah. So on that note, we're gonna have a quick break and we'll be back with you in a few minutes. Ciao. And welcome back to our next part of this episode. So let's just remind you that today's episode is sponsored by High, a health and fitness brand that talks about transformational fitness programs from accessibility all over the world.
Now, you've mentioned before we went into a break, that there is a lot of this body guilt, like I'm not enough, I don't accept myself. I want to look a specific way. Even we've heard with the discussion that we had with plastic surgeons that I want this specific lips, nose, boobs, butt, small waist, and so on. Now, there is nothing bad in wanting to look young and wanting to be attractive. But on the other hand, there is this facade that we put, this exterior picture, and we stop investing in what makes us grow as people. It's always nice, I mean, to have a better body, to improve yourself, but there is this mismatch, let's say. We focus so much on our exterior shell, and we fail to nurture our soul.
Yeah, that is very true. We have focused so much on what we look like and what we could look like that we forget that we're all going to die at some point.
Yeah.
And that we're not here forever. I think it was yesterday that I mentioned to you my dad's nearly 70, and telling him to go on a diet, for example. I kind of get that. It's like, what's the point? What's the point? I want to eat some food. I'm going to eat what I want to eat. With that sort of perspective in mind, it's like, I don't want to have to control myself. However, when you do have a healthy way of approaching life, with your mindset, with your body, connecting to your spiritual side as well, you are much more able to function in this life. Mm-hmm. You are happier.
You're happier.
You're more well-balanced, and you're a great vessel for other people to be able to see and learn from. Because you're more likely to be a lot more centered.
Yeah, you're more centered because most people, let's say, we're stressed, we're anxious, we are depressed, we're sad. And the reason is that we fail to connect with our body.
We fail to connect with ourselves, and we fail to connect with other people around us because of that.
Because of that, and
we
the
become
body
disconnected.
And exercise, it's a fantastic way to reconnect with yourself. Yeah. Because you feel your heart pumping blood, you feel your lungs expanding, you have this endorphin release. All these aspects are so essential for reconnecting to yourself that you have to do them. In order for you to connect with yourself and connect to those around you, you have to do something as intense as exercise that at least is going to elevate your heart, or a cold shower, so that it creates that noradrenaline rush for you to be able to come back, body and spirit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to remember that finding a workout that works for you and for each individual is also really important, because it's not about getting to a specific goal. I mean, great, if you have a specific goal in mind, fantastic, but it's really important to find a workout that you enjoy, that you can do every day or every other day, that you look forward to, that you can get up and say, yes, I look forward to going dancing. I look forward to going swimming. I look forward to doing a HIIT workout with Hélène. Just to have that form of workout that gives you that feeling of feeling great, feeling strong, feeling happier, feeling elevated.
Yeah.
And not just, well, you know what, it's week 1, I don't have results, so
I'm going to stop.
Or this is not working for me because I don't find that it's giving me what I want. But it is giving you what you want. It's giving you happiness, it's giving you mental clarity, it's giving you...
Can we speak also about the opposite, the fact that exercise can become also addictive?
Yeah, sure. Exercise can definitely become addictive. I think a lot of people use it as a form of trying to feel better, but your body is also required to have rest. And if you don't have enough rest as a person, again, you're dysregulated. Again, your diet will go off point. Again, you'll be rude to people. You'll be angrier. You'll have more stress in your life because you're not resting enough. And the body needs to have time to recover. The body needs to have time to unwind. We can't have this concept of being switched on all the time. We have it with working. Everyone thinks that they need to work. And rest isn't praised as much. Like if you say to someone, well, I'm doing nothing today, I'm taking a break, they'll be like, well, that's not very constructive, is it? But
yeah, you're right on that, because even intense exercise for prolonged periods of time, it does create cortisol, and cortisol relates to cellular death, stress, and a variety of other diseases. So again, in everything, there is a balance, whether that's called diet, whether that's called exercise. But just to recap, exercise, it's a fantastic way to connect with yourself, to make you feel better. And the outcome of exercise is not, in fact, this is going to come in the long run, and if you also adjust the way you eat, if you truly want to. But everyone should exercise because it makes them happier, it makes them healthier, it improves your cardiovascular system. And these endorphins, it's just, I think it's something that you cannot compare it with. You have to experience it, to understand it and appreciate it fully.
yeah, as you said, working out for self-empowerment, working out to feel good as opposed to just looking good. Looking good will come when you commit to feeling good every single day. That's what I tell my clients all the time. And that's exactly what I tell myself. And that's why I choose to work out every day, because it just gives me that mental boost and happiness boost that I need.
That you need. Now, let me just quickly say something about the evolution of humans when it came to having a specific body. Now, there are studies that have been made in specifically in cultures that have been dominated by a dry weather. Mexico, the Arab countries, and we've seen Saudi Arabia. And we've seen that those countries, compared to any other country, their genotype is different. And it is different for a specific reason. During droughts, when food was scarce, the body had to develop the mechanisms to deposit more fat. Thus, metabolisms were slower. Fat cells were more. So when those individuals, let's say, they had abundance, they were eating, they were depositing fat, even males would prefer women that were more voluptuous because they would be able to sustain life much better. And there is this cultural, let's say, evolution when it comes to fat deposits. And it's a matter of the human genome adapting to the needs of the age. I believe that now things will change, and they change again based on sexual selection. Because if we believe that now the healthy norm, it's a slimmer figure, then you would have, let's say, those fatty genes slowly going into extinction. But fat has also been developed to protect us, to sustain us in life. And this is why also when you're highly stressed, you also deposit more fat and you produce more cholesterol because your metabolism slows down to protect you. And even when you're, let's say, fatter, you have more estrogen, more progesterone. Yes, of course, being extremely fat is bad, but also those individuals in the past, in those dry regions that have been through famine, not only drought, famine, they had the opportunity to procreate, the ones that had more fatty cells. So fat is not necessarily your enemy. It's something that does sustain you in life, but it's also, there's a healthy limit to how much you should carry on you.
Yeah, good point. Definitely something that is really important, because I think the dialogue around fat is, God, stay away from it. Fat loss programs, fat loss diets. But when you understand that you actually need fat to sustain yourself, and you do need fat to have your period as a woman, and you do need fat to be able to have children.
And produce testosterone even as a man.
To have your hormones, exactly, for them to be more regulated, then you don't look at it as such a bad thing. And I think even the way that we talk about certain things within the fitness industry is also really interesting, talking about this, because most times when you do a workout, you say to yourself, well, do I look thinner? Do I look fitter? Do I look, and the question I think around that also needs to be, how do I feel? Not how do I look? And there are many, many ways that we need to reprogram the way that we talk about this whole industry in order for people to be able to accept themselves more, love themselves more, and understand that no matter what you look like, you need to love yourself first, accept yourself first, and be kinder to yourself in order for you to be happier within that moment, and the rest will come.
Exactly. So it is very important that we reshape the way that we talk around exercise.
Yes.
And the first question should be, do you feel better? How do you feel? Or not, how do I look? How do you look? Or if I look more toned. So the feeling that you get, the emotional satisfaction, I think it's much more rewarding than something that will eventually, in the long run, be short-lived, because we will all age. However, if we do have as our practice exercise daily in our life, we'll be healthier, we will live longer, dependent of whether we have a body of a 20-year-old person or a 60-year-old person. So on that note, we would like to end today's podcast. Hélène, thank you very much for sharing these thoughts with us, because I believe that a lot of people that are not in the fitness industry, and a lot of normal people, we torture ourselves in regards to our body image.
Pleasure to be here, as always. And we will see you next time
on our next episode. And lots of love. See you again soon.
Ciao.
Bye.